Practice structure. There are many ways that we can go about structuring our practice sessions. One of the most effective ways for me is by working in 20-minute blocks. Research has shown that most brains function well for 20 to 25 minutes, and then we see a sharp decline in retention of ideas. A short break revitalizes the mind, and one can go on to a new task while reaping rewards similar to the first block. We accomplish more and retain more skills by alternating focused practice with short breaks. Thinking realistically, if you have 60 minutes to practice, you will likely only have 2 blocks with 1 short break and time for setup and teardown. With this model in mind, don't underestimate the power of short practice sessions of only 30 minutes or less. This might be the right amount of time to prepare for a rehearsal, polish the last passage for your lesson material, or lay the groundwork for a longer session later in the day. Ultimately, you will be using these chunks as building blocks, so varying the length of practice can be very productive. You can also change the length of your blocks as you observe how you work best. I have found that there are some things that only 10 minutes of highly focused practice is possible before I need a break. Inserting one of these in the middle of your session might add to the efficiency, filling that whole hour. My definition of a break and yours will undoubtedly vary. Some breaks require leaving the practice room, walking the halls, and using the facilities, while others are simply closing one book and opening another. I would avoid any distraction triggers. Leave your notifications off and avoid conversations with friends during these breaks. You still want to be focused on practicing, and the break is intended to return you to a more productive practice, not sidetrack you from your session goals. You should develop some break activities that help you, like stretching or moving or meditation. Is the break for the mind or is it for the body? Or both? Observe yourself and take note of what works and allows you to be more productive in the session that follows. Figuring out how many of these blocks are available to you should be your first step. I encourage students to plan practice sessions in their weekly schedule. Getting into a routine of practicing at the same time each week will encourage better flow and more efficient time usage. Generic goals of a certain number of hours per day will work well for many, but the likelihood of an imbalanced daily schedule might call for some customization. Perhaps the daily goal is better seen as an average throughout the week, where longer sessions on the weekend compensate for shorter times on our busy days. Whatever the plan is, make sure you have one. After we scheduled our sessions, we then can break down our practicing into our focused blocks. Blocks should be planned daily and reflect goals that might have changed from previous sessions. We might have accomplished more than we expected and can move more quickly to the next challenge, or unfortunately less, and we need to revisit some tasks. The best approach is to spend some time the evening before and map out your next day completely, including expected study and social time, so that your practice time is realistic. How you prioritize will have to be up to you, but chances are that if you are watching this video, practice will likely have a high priority for you. If you are a student, please balance academics so studies are not crammed as projects approach. Poor academic planning will result in inconsistent practice. Inconsistent practice will be inefficient and less productive. Social time does have its place, and building relationships is extremely important. It does need some guardrails so that it doesn't become too much of a good thing and prevent us from achieving our goals. Plan activities with your friends and share your goals with them so that they can encourage you. It is likely that they have parallel goals, and mutual accountability will be helpful to everyone. Your practice sessions can be organized and implemented by the focus. There will be warm-up, skill maintenance and building, and repertoire learning. The warm-up for me serves the purpose of building habits, centering the mind and stretching the body. I perform the same exact exercises every day, focusing on the consistency of habits that are essential. The feel of the breath, the motion of the tongue, the sound of the pitch, the connection of the notes, the smoothness of the slur, and of course, the beauty of the sound. I perform these with a metronome to ensure that I don't rush ahead and that actions happen in time. This religious approach to the first notes of the day have helped me to audiate pitch and establish consistency in production. This never-changing aspect of my warm-up takes about 10 minutes, and then I enter a phase of the warm-ups that is much more flexible and serves as a foreshadowing of the skills that I look to build on in a later session. I have sets that focus on flexibility, articulation, range, finger technique, and tone that happen in rotation or as needed. The skill building and maintenance blocks are not explicitly driven by assigned etudes, solos, or excerpts, but at times may utilize those materials. Common material in these sessions are scales and exercises that target specific fundamental skills. These exercises serve as building blocks for repertoire, and accurate execution of playing technique is essential. Isolating some repertoire passages could serve as a substitution, but the passages should align precisely with the skill that we are building. We make sure to do things right rather than just getting through. I often will force myself to repeat tasks in these sessions because it didn't feel effortless or my mind was not focused completely. The result might have been good enough to the listener, but I know that I can't yet rely on that skill. These sessions can be the most tedious, but ultimately the most rewarding. Repertoire learning is often determined by an upcoming performance, a lesson, or an audition. Structuring practice around repertoire will help define what your warm-up and skill-building sessions require. Repertoire learning also includes a lot more interpretation, analysis, and mental focus, which may change how you approach that time. When thinking about all the repertoire you are working on, divide everything into appropriate sized chunks. It is unreasonable to expect that you can practice a complete piece in one block. We may only practice the cadenza or the exposition, and the process of determining these sections is valuable score study. Some blocks are focused on one phrase as we shape its line, and some are long sections as we work on cohesive transitions. Others yet are working on what I refer to as the non-negotiables, right notes and right rhythms, as we build speed and accuracy. Overall, structuring our practice is crucial to success, but it doesn't need to be elaborate. We can probably plan most sessions in a few minutes, perhaps even while we eat breakfast or in the shower. More extensive goal planning should occur periodically, and those activities deserve their own dedicated video. I would encourage you to revisit goals often, but plan to commit to them for a significant time so that our weekly practice can be focused and have enough time to see what progress occurs and to see if our goals are realistic and rewarding.